Could Derby County be in the market for a former player that used to play next to John Eustace in that midfield back under Steve McLaren? It's a massive name on the lips of Derby County fans, as Jeff Hendrick's name has been bandied about by those fans after the recent injury news to David Ozoh. Now, obviously, it's very, very disappointing to lose a player in David Ozoh, but if we can replace David Ozoh with a player of the quality and experience of Jeff Hendrick, I think Derby County could be in a relatively good place. Now, obviously, Jeff Hendrick has been without a club since July 2024, similar to that of Kemar Roof before he joined the club. But it's one of those where, could we see him back at Pride Park? Could we see him back at Moor Farm? Jeff Hendrick is currently 33 years of age. He has 79 caps for Ireland, 2 goals within that period as well. And obviously, over the course of the last few years, maybe hasn't played as many games as he wishes he should have done. Obviously, in 22-24, made 12 appearances, only 500 minutes across the course of that spell. The season before, he did make 46 appearances, though, 22-23 for Reading. Now, obviously, if we look at the positions that Jeff Hendrick can play in, all of those midfield options, holding midfielder, attacking midfielder, in behind a striker, and obviously that sort of like box-to-box role. You can obviously also play in those 2 wing-back positions, which he's done at times before as well. We know his career he's played for a range of different clubs, including the likes of Derby County, Burnley, Reading, Newcastle, Sheffield Wednesday and QPR. Played across the course of a range of different competitions, the likes of the Championship, Premier League, Europa League qualifiers, and obviously those FA and EFL Cup competitions. And obviously he's made a wide range of appearances for the Republic of Ireland on the international stage. Now, obviously, Jeff Hendrick is not a player who Derby County would have been looking at. Well, it might have been a player who was looking at in the summer, but he's not necessarily one of those players who sort of jumps out to you. And obviously, it is disappointing that he's still a free agent for, obviously, himself. But looking at Derby County and their opportunity to try and sort of replace David Ozoh, they've got to look at that free agent market. And John Eustace confirmed in the press conference yesterday that that is something that he does intend to do. Look into the free agent market, if there's anybody that can come in and train, see if anybody is sort of ready to go, essentially. And would Jeff Hendrick sort of be the guy? Now, if we go back to Jeff Hendrick during his time at Derby County, he was unbelievable for us. 214 appearances, 26 goals, 19 assists. Obviously coming through sort of the academy here, obviously did obviously spend time at some clubs in Ireland before coming to Derby County, but came through Derby's academy, made a wide range of appearances, and obviously then moved on to Burnley, who were in the Premier League, before going on to Newcastle, to QPR, to Reading, to Sheffield Wednesday. Now, he can score goals, he can set up goals, he's shown that throughout his career. But can he come in and help Derby County dominate the ball and make things happen in that midfield area? He's quite a tall footballer at 1.85 metres tall, about the same height as the likes of Ibu Adams and Jake Rooney. He's sort of in between those two. And I think Hendrick could be a massive addition to Derby County's squad. But will he really want to come to Derby County in the predicament we're in of that relegation battle? Now, that is the big question that's on the lips of many, many people, because obviously a few weeks ago, if you'd have told me Kemar Roof was going to sign for the club, I probably would have told you he's not. Not only because I did think he was at Rangers still, but also because under Paul Warne, there was no chance of signing a player of that calibre, in my opinion. You obviously then look at someone of Jeff Hendrick, who's been through a similar sort of career at that sort of top level, and is he going to want to come to Derby County in a relegation battle? Now, I think he could be persuaded by obviously the likes of Steve Round and John Eustace, who have obviously recently come into the club, but it would be an interesting one, because not playing for so long, is he going to be able to come in and have an instant impact, or is he just going to end up being one of those sort of depth options off the bench? And it's really difficult to really make that sort of decision and have that sort of idea on what Jeff Hendrick could do for Derby County and where he could go with the club. Because obviously, at 33 years old, he's coming towards the end of his career. He's not played in, 7-8 months, which, whether he's training or not, whether he's been training with other teams, who knows? But it's always a difficult task to bring a player in that's a free agent at this stage. Now, we've obviously done it with Kemar Roof. Will he be available to play at the weekend? maybe even start. We don't know yet. Obviously, we did it last season with Dwight Gale. Obviously, Ryan Niambi was another one who we bought in as a free agent outside of a transfer window. But with Jeff Hendrick, he's not played. He's not really trained, and no sort of deal has materialised. I don't even think there's been any sort of rumours in regards to Jeff Hendrick. I know there's obviously talk, what was it, 4-5 years ago, of moving to AC Milan and Manchester United, but obviously is well past those potential moves. I think he ended up at Newcastle when those rumours were about. And can he improve Derby County? I think the answer is yes. Is he fit enough to improve Derby County? I'm not entirely sure, and that's a question which will be on the lips of Derby's staff, if that is a player that they're looking at. And what other players could Derby County look at in that sort of midfield area that are available to go and pick up and put on the bench or whatever? I don't really know. And that's a problem we have. Obviously, losing David Ozoh, it's a massive, massive problem for Derby. It's one less body in the midfield. It's one less body in the club. Obviously, I believe, from what John Eustace was saying, he will be sticking around Moor Farm and things like that to sort of stay with the group. How long that lasts for, who knows? Obviously, will he want to just go back home and sort of recover back in London at Crystal Palace? That'll be a question for him to really answer himself. And I do really feel bad for David Ozoh, because he's been so good for us when he has been fit, and he's been so good for us in those appearances and things like that. The only real bad appearance I can think of is that sort of Blackburn game, where it was real sort of a welcome to professional football sort of night for him. And I really thought he grew up after that and had real good defensive displays, real good in possession displays. Obviously not many of them under Paul Warne, but we'll obviously have to wait and see what happens with that one. And obviously, if Derby County can sign Jeff Hendrick, is it a great deal? Probably not. Is it the best deal for the future of the club? That is a question mark. It's always going to be a 50-50 with free agents, especially ones that haven't had a club since July 2024. And you can obviously have your say on this down in the comments, because it is a very interesting one. Jeff Hendrick returning to Moor Farm and Pride Park with 12 games to go. Obviously, by the time he'd potentially sign, it'd probably be 11. And how many games would you actually get out of him? And if he comes in and has an amazing sort of period, would you then sort of keep him on for next year if he wants to stay? All big questions to ask. And it's obviously a really interesting one, because you look at Kemar Roofe in a similar sort of vein. If Kemar Roofe goes and has 4 or 5 good appearances over the course of the next 11 games, would you want to keep him for another season in League One at sort of 33, 34? That would be a similar question that you'd have for that of Jeff Hendrick. Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I will catch you on the flip side in the next video. Will Jeff Hendrick sign? I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll catch you in the next one.